And now, your Weather Authority forecast first, brought to you by Todd Shore's McClarty Ford.
Well, so far it has been a breezy and warm morning, and as we continue into the afternoon, winds will gust over 20 miles per hour. It will still feel pretty nice temperature-wise as we'll wind up in the low 80s. Potentially, you can see a few raindrops this afternoon across the northern Arklatex. Then tonight, we do have a cold front moving in, so once again, a potential severe weather threat through the overnight hours, and this will continue through your Friday morning. I'll have a look at that coming up a little bit later in the show. That's a check of your Todd Shore's McClarty Ford forecast first. Local midday begins right now.
Now, from your community, local news that matters. This is NBC 6 News Local Midday Update.
Good afternoon and welcome to NBC 6 News Local Midday Update. I'm Fernanda Hernandez. Only on 6 you asked and we listened. You can now find your latest coronavirus updates in Espanol on our website. This update gives you the latest on COVID-19 here locally and what's going on in your area as it relates to coronavirus. I'll be bringing you this update completely in Spanish, and you can expect updates on our website every Tuesday and Thursday. That's arklatexhomepage.com. And an update now, and good news for residents in Vivian. The town of Vivian water system has lifted the boil advisory, which was put in place on Wednesday due to a water main break on the east side of town. This included all water customers in the blocks between East Tennessee and East Arkansas Avenues. And we're living local, and this week is a National Travel and Tourism Week. And although we can't celebrate by going to our favorite attraction due to COVID-19 restrictions, the Shreveport-Bossier Tourism Bureau says they're planning ahead for the day when Shreveport can expect visitors again.
We're planning our Shreveport-Bossier comeback, and we're getting our hotels, our restaurants, our attractions, everyone ready for the day that we can welcome visitors back in.
#SB Comeback includes the local business owners from around the area who say they miss their patrons just as much as we miss them. And speaking of tourism, the Shreveport Convention Center has seen a major impact because of COVID-19 restrictions. The Convention Center was projected to make more than $238,000 in the month of April. That number is speculated to have only been a total revenue of only $1,300. $1,375 future revenues this upcoming months will be substantially less than projected income. And faith matters, and today is the National Day of Prayer, but the schedule for today has been modified due to the pandemic and the stay-at-home orders. That event was to be held at Bel Air Baptist Church in Bossier City, but it will now be a video message from Sheriff Whittington and a prayer from hosting Pastor Randy Harper of Bel Air Baptist Church.
On this National Day of Prayer, there's nothing more important than our communities uniting our faith in God. We need to ask Him to heal our country and bring restoration to our families across our cities, parish, state, and nation.
And you can watch the full National Day of Prayer video on our website, arklatexhomepage.com. Taking a look now at the latest in the coronavirus pandemic. Here in Louisiana, COVID-19 data was just updated at noon, putting the total number of cases in the state at more than 30,000. The death toll now standing over 2,000, and Caddo Parish currently reported over 1,600 total cases. 134 reported deaths according to the coroner's office. And during Governor Edwards' COVID-19 briefing yesterday, he suggests that if a business has employees not wearing masks, you should avoid that business.
If they don't have their employees in masks, for example, I would encourage you not to go there, because it's just important. The mask usage by the vast majority of people in Louisiana and around the country will be critically important if we're going to keep the cases down, keep the deaths down, and preserve our hospital capacity, not just for COVID patients, but for anybody who might need a hospital. And that mask usage is going to be critically important.
And Governor John Bel Edwards says he hopes to lift his stay-at-home order next week. He will also be giving a COVID-19 update today at 4:30 p.m. Of course, you can watch that live on our website. And the push to strip Governor John Bel Edwards of emergency powers amid the coronavirus pandemic got its first victory today. A state House panel advanced legislation from House Republican leader Blake Miguez, and this would block the governor from extending his stay-at-home order past May 15th and therefore stop the state from penalizing businesses failing to comply with that.
We have to work together very hard and to get our economy rebuilt. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not convinced that there's a new norm. I'm convinced that we can go back to being Americans again and being Louisianans again and do what we do best.
And the governor's office calls the legislation unsafe amid the pandemic. Lawmakers must approve this measure, and Governor Edwards does not have the power to veto it. And money matters, and the Louisiana Gaming Control Board chairman says casinos in the state could reopen in late May. That's if COVID-19 cases remain flat. Chairman Ronnie Jones said yesterday the experience would be different with facilities operating at a reduced capacity. And NBC6 talked with Congressman Mike Johnson about the estimated $100 million in lost state revenue since the casinos closed.
We have to allow the free market for innovation, for creativity, to have a chance there as well. And I think a lot of the owners of those establishments, those businesses, I think they'll figure out a way to do it. I mean, again, it's not rocket science, but if we're gonna practice, for example, a 6-foot buffer zone around each patron, it can be done. You may have to just use every 5th slot machine, I guess, or however that is. But we have to give these businesses a chance to survive.
And be sure to join us this evening for our Louisiana COVID-19 virtual town hall. Governor John Bel Edwards, Congressman Mike Johnson, and other lawmakers representing every corner of the state will discuss reopening Louisiana. Watch it tonight at 7, streaming live on our website, arklatex-homepage.com, as well as our Arklatex homepage news app. Meanwhile, the Internal Revenue Service released new guidance yesterday stipulating that dead people and their descendants must return stimulus checks sent by the federal government in the recent weeks. Stimulus checks are based on 2018 and 2019 tax returns, and some of those individuals have died since filing the returns. Now, the IRS wants that money returned. People who are incarcerated and non-resident aliens are also not eligible for the payments, according to the IRS. And over in Texas, here's a look at the new coronavirus numbers there. There are now more than 34,000 cases statewide, 948 deaths so far, and more than half of the people who contracted the virus have recovered. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is in Washington, D.C. today meeting with President Trump at the White House. Abbott is the latest governor to make a trip to the Oval Office to talk about his state's response to the coronavirus crisis. And Governor Abbott has removed jail as punishment for violating his coronavirus restrictions. This comes after an outcry by conservatives over a Dallas salon owner who was jailed for refusing to keep her business closed. In a swift reversal of his own rules, Abbott said his new orders should free Shelley Luther, who was booked in the Dallas County Jail this week for keeping her salon open in defiance of the governor's restrictions meant to slow the spread of the coronavirus. Luther refused to apologize for disregarding the order, which led to a judge to find her in contempt of court and sentence her to a week in jail. And a Texarkana-based food bank increases its monthly mobile food pantries to once a week. Recent grants and donations have helped Harvest Regional Food Bank get more inventory to 10 counties it serves. Organizers say that comes at an important time. And another active case of COVID-19 has now been marked recovered over in Marion County, Texas. That's according to Marion County Judge Leward LaFleur, who says as of yesterday, the total active coronavirus cases now stand at 12 with 3 recoveries. Starting today, you can register for free COVID-19 testing. The test will be conducted from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. tomorrow at the Kellyville Community Center on 130 Park Road in Jefferson, Texas. You can call that number on your screen to register. And gyms in Texas prepare to reopen on May 18th, but they'll be operating at just 25% capacity. That's under Governor Greg Abbott's orders, who says gloves must be worn and you still need to stay 6 feet apart while exercising. Showers and locker rooms will remain closed under the first phase of reopening. And the owner of Legends Gym in Texarkana says equipment must be wiped before and after each workout.
Most members of health clubs, it's their club. So they're going to be real safe themselves. So to me, it's the safest place to be. And not only that, but fitness centers promote just that, fitness. They increase people's immune systems by doing cardio or strength training. So
And fitness centers in Arkansas open their doors on Monday. And speaking of Arkansas, let's take a look at the most updated coronavirus numbers there. The total number of cases in the state now at 3,611. There have been 87 reported deaths, and Governor Asa Hutchinson will hold his daily COVID-19 briefing from Texarkana, Arkansas at 1:30 p.m. this afternoon. Of course, you can watch it live on our website. And a major money shakeup is happening in Union County as Murphy Oil Corporation is relocating its corporate headquarters from El Dorado to Houston, Texas. This means about 80 employees will be losing their jobs, and Haley Brooks has more on those changes.
The impact of them leaving can't be measured just in dollar signs.
A big loss for El Dorado, Arkansas, as Murphy Oil announces plans to move its corporate headquarters to Texas. Arkansas State Senator Trent Gardner says COVID-19 is a likely culprit in pushing this move.
It's a very disappointing day in El Dorado and Union County. We understand that they're under some very hard financial times during this kind of unprecedented pandemic and then the oil market being where it's at.
Claiborne Deming, chairman of Murphy Oil Corporation, says we simply do not have a choice and came to this decision only after exhausting all other cost-saving measures.
There's 80 good paying jobs that are gone, but more importantly, Murphy Oil's been a steward in El Dorado, Union County for 100 years now.
We have seen it coming for a while now, but you never want to get that news.
El Dorado Mayor Veronica Smith-Creer took to social media sharing the news, adding two things will not be changing.
The El Dorado Promise will continue, and that Murphy USA will continue to be here in El Dorado.
The El Dorado Promise is a scholarship program for students in the El Dorado School District. It covers tuition and other fees for graduates pursuing associate's or bachelor's degrees.
We'll recover from it. We'll come out stronger from this in the long run.
In Little Rock, I'm Haley Brooks.
And as always, if you're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or need help coping with COVID-19 related stress, the Keep Calm Through COVID hotline is still providing a 24/7 counseling service. That number is on your screen, 1-866-310-7977. And we'll be right back with a full check of your forecast. Plus, it's Hurricane Preparedness Week, and we chat with the National Hurricane Center to tell you what you can expect. That's coming up next. And later, we've got an uplifting story that shows the special and temporary way to celebrate birthdays from afar. We'll be right back.
And now, your weather authority, Josh Marcis, certified the most accurate forecast in the Arklatex.
Well, welcome back. We are looking at a warm afternoon. Should see high temperatures pretty close to yesterday, winding up in the 70s and low 80s. Of course, if you've been out there today, you know the one big change, the breezy conditions. Those will stay with us. We're just ahead of a cold front today, so it looks like the majority of the thunderstorms associated with this front will be moving in late tonight through tomorrow morning. So this will be an overnight severe weather threat for us. And severe weather setup not quite the same as what we've seen over the past month, but we could see some scattered severe storms here, especially in that slight risk area. That's the area in yellow across Oklahoma and northeast Texas. And again tonight, the main threat will be for some damaging hail, talking quarter-sized or larger, and a few strong wind gusts as well. This will be the same storm system. There's two different outlook maps because the outlook goes from about, let's call it 10 p.m. through about sunrise, and then after sunrise, that severe weather threat tomorrow will be I-20 and southward. A little chance to warm up ahead of this front across Sabine and Natchitoches parishes, so your severe weather threat there will be a little bit higher late tomorrow morning and through the afternoon. So let's go ahead and time this all out for you. Futurecast from Robbins Toyota showing a little bit of rain here north of I-30 this afternoon. If that does occur, it won't be much rain, and looks like things will hold off until late tonight. This takes us to about midnight, and you can see some of the storms moving in across portions of McCurtain County as well as northeast Texas. Thunderstorms along this cold front will form a line and eventually move down. It's showing Texarkana about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Give yourself a little wiggle room. It could be a little bit earlier than that or just a touch later as well. Storms down through Shreveport, Marshall, Jefferson, as well as Minden by about sunrise. It's showing about 5 to 7 a.m. along the I-20 corridor, and those storms will continue to push south through the morning. So we could see a lingering severe storm here late tomorrow morning or early tomorrow afternoon, mainly across the Toledo Bend region. After that, we should dry out as we head through the back half of the day. May actually salvage a decent afternoon ahead of what will be a very nice Mother's Day weekend. In addition to the severe weather threats, we'll have to be on the lookout for some heavy rain. So this is the outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. Looks like most areas will see 1 to 2 inches of rain, but there's the potential we could see some 2 to 3 inch amounts in the yellow area here in northeast Texas. So that's where the Weather Prediction Center believes if we see any flash flooding tomorrow morning, they think that's where it will be across our counties here in northeast Texas. So I'll keep you updated tomorrow morning on NBC 6 News between 5 and 7 a.m. If we do see any flash flooding concerns, I'll of course tell you about those. We'll see that rain wrap up tomorrow, looking pretty nice for your Mother's Day weekend. Cooler Saturdays, we'll see highs in the 60s and low 70s. Mother's Day, highs in the mid to upper 70s, and just slight rain chances as we warm back into the 80s through the middle of next week. That's a look at your weather forecast. Let's send it back over to Fernanda.
This week is a National Hurricane Preparedness Week, and to keep us ready in case of a natural disaster, today I'm joined with Ken Graham of the National Hurricane Center. Ken, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Ken, tell us what the hurricane outlook is for this year.
Yeah, the official NOAA forecast for the hurricane season comes out May 21st, but all indicators, you've seen some of the other studies, the universities and some of the other companies putting that out. I tell you, we got to prepare for a busy season. We always tell people, busy or not, let's prepare as if we're going to be hit. And it looks like we better be prepared for this season.
Absolutely. And Ken, speaking of preparedness, will there be any differences as far as shelters go with all of these coronavirus restrictions if they were to continue on?
Yeah, our great partners and our great friends in emergency management are really having those big discussions. They're getting together to look at those changes. So I really urge people, listen to those local officials. They're going to be coming up with whatever tweaks that they have in the plans. But otherwise, from our standpoint, we got to prepare like we always do. I mean, hurricanes.gov/prepare has got a ton of information there. Get supplies early. Think about your risk. Get your insurance checkups. Look at your home. Is it safe? Is it built? Are you in a risk area along bayous and rivers and that sort of thing? So water is the leading cause of deaths in these tropical systems. You got to be ready for the water. So we got to prepare like we always do.
Yes, be prepared and be ready. And Ken, I know that we are in North Louisiana. When you think hurricane, you don't think necessarily of this area, but there are risks that could affect us, and it's super important for people to be prepared.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, we always talk about this. A hurricane is not just a coastal event. I mean, we think about the storm surge being on the coast, but storm surge could go many miles inland, 40, 50, and we've seen cases 100 miles inland. But the other part is the inland rainfall and tornadoes. You can have that well into the northern part of the state. A strong system can bring, if you look at a Michael, for instance, and had just damaging winds all the way through Georgia. Think about a Michael in the state where you can have that damage throughout the entire state. You got to be ready. Just because you're not on the coast doesn't mean you're not exposed to some of those dangers of a hurricane.
Very important and useful information for all of our viewers. Ken, thank you so much for being with us, and stay with us. We have more local midday update after the break.
This is NBC6 News Local Midday Update.
Welcome back. After a social media hiatus, Adele has returned to Instagram with a bang. She thanked fans for the birthday wishes and also showed off her fabulous new look. Last year, Adele announced that she and Simon Konecki had split after 3 years of marriage. They share one son together, Angelo, who was born in 2012. And Twitter is testing out what The Verge describes as a new moderation tool that would prompt users to think twice before sending a nasty reply. This is Twitter's most recent attempt at coping with widespread harassment on its platform. And users who employ language that is, quote, harmful will get a prompt recommending that they self-edit that reply before actually posting it. Twitter hasn't outlined exactly what language would trigger that prompt. And in your consumer news, Uber is laying off thousands of employees. The company said yesterday it's cutting about nearly 4,000 full-time roles. That's about 14% of its staff. Uber's customer support and recruiting teams will be affected, and this layoff comes in response to the reduced volume of ride requests and the company's hiring freeze. Uber CEO says he will waive his base salary for the rest of the year. And last week, rival Lyft said it would be cutting 1,000 staffers and furloughing hundreds more as it grapples with the impact of the ongoing pandemic. And the Department of Labor reported another 3.2 million Americans filed first-time claims for unemployment benefits last week. The Labor Department did factor in seasonal adjustments, which economists use to account for seasonal hiring fluctuations. That brings the total number of initial claims filed since mid-March to 33.5 million. While those numbers are staggering, it's the 5th week in a row that the number of initial claims fell. Economists say the downward trend is a good sign that things aren't getting worse. And stay with us because a mother is celebrating her daughter's birthday in a unique way. That's our feel-good story of the day, and it's coming up next. We're taking a look outside with our Louisiana Tower Cam. We'll have a final check of your forecast also coming up next.
This is NBC6 News Local Midday Update.
Welcome back. Faith matters, and a Shreveport mother rallies her church family to help celebrate her daughter Carla McCulloch's birthday. Carla, of course, wanted to share this special day with her mother Maddie, and members of Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and other friends drove through the neighborhood to wish them well. The McCullochs share advice to others celebrating birthdays during the stay-at-home orders.
We want them to remember to keep the faith. Don't let fear overtake you, because God is still in control. Even though COVID has taken many lives throughout this nation, but remember, God is still in control, and that you have to have joy in Jesus.
And I want to tell them to inhale faith, exhale fear, and trust God, and encourage others to do the same thing.
And Carla saved her mother's life a few months ago when she rushed her to the hospital. Maddie has now recovered from kidney failure and is doing well. A really happy birthday to Carla, and on that positive note, we're sending it back to Jaws for one final look at our forecast.
Well, a final check of your forecast here again today. We will see those breezy conditions through the afternoon, and a cold front moves in tonight, so there will be a severe weather threat from about midnight tonight through tomorrow morning as a line of thunderstorms makes its way through. You can find more on that at arclatexhomepage.com and check for updates there both today and tonight. 7-day forecast showing you the dry conditions through your Mother's Day weekend. Should be a nice weekend ahead.
And that wraps up your local midday update. We're going to see you back here at midday tomorrow. Have a good one and stay safe.
NBC6, your weather authority, awarded the Weather Rate Seal, certified as the most accurate forecast in the Arclatex.